Hello YouTube, I hope everyone's doing well and had a good Thanksgiving. Before I kind of jump into this, if you've seen the title of the video, obviously you know what this is going to entail. But first off, I want to say, if any of my subscribers that watch any of these videos don't have a private instructor on the trombone, I would highly recommend you find somebody really good in your area to get private lessons from so you can keep developing as a trombonist. Number two, I'm going to go over things that have helped me in this video. If you want a really solid foundational video on clear bass trombone range in particular, go check out Denson Pollard. Type in his name on YouTube. I'm gonna put a link in the description below on his video on this. But I'm just gonna kind of jump right into it. This is gonna be 5 tips for bass trombone range. These are things that have helped me in my bass trombone experience. So tip number 1 is going to be that you have to know that the bass trombone is 2 horns in one. Now, I'm not saying that to try to confuse anybody, but what I mean is the bass trombone is a low-end instrument, a low brass instrument. But something that a lot of people don't realize is that the bass trombone is extremely versatile when it comes to range. It has very similar range to the tenor trombone. For example, a normal bass trombone range is in the low B flat pedal range, that B flat major scale. But the big kicker is you are going to be playing in that range a lot, but a lot of the times bass trombone is in this range. Have access to tenor trombone range. Spend time practicing it. Another thing to keep in mind is that most bass trombonists started on tenor trombone. Now the person I'm addressing this to commented that they double on tuba, which I'll talk about later. But most bass trombonists will start on tenor trombone. So just something to keep in mind. Another just really simple thing to keep in mind is that you need to be familiar with tenor trombone. I double on small bore tenor trombone all the time and large bore tenor trombone. And all it's done is help my mid to high range on bass trombone. So that's something to keep in mind. So that's tip number 1. Realize that you are going to be dealing with tenor. If you pick up bass trombone, you are also going to have to deal with the range of tenor trombone. So just a heads up. Tip number 2 is the most important concept I have ever learned with range that has helped me in particular. And it is the concept that you think down when you go up. Now, if anyone has been playing for a long period of time and looked into developing skills with high range, or any technique for that matter, there's a lot of mental aspects into playing trombone. And a mental aspect that has helped me with range is to think down when you go up. What this does is it gets your brain thinking that the high range is not impossible. That's what it's done for me. It's a little different for everyone, but this is a mental thing to think about. This is something that vocalists do when they go into the high range. They think down so that the ease and the tension relaxes. So if I am not thinking about my range, it's not going to come out how I want it. But that's something that's kind of implanted in my brain. But when you think down, when you go up, it's gonna do things to your air that you have not tried before. That time I actually felt a lot more relaxed. It's kind of hard to tell watching me, but to me, it felt much more relaxed and it was much more easy. This is also extremely applicable to anything above that B flat, especially if you're on bass trombone with this, with the mouthpiece you have especially. It's going to be bigger than tenor trombone. So what I was doing is that B flat, I was thinking a certain way. Then the higher I go, the lower you think. It's going to do things to your ear that are going to lessen a lot of the tension. So try it out and see what that does to your playing. Tip number 3 is lip slurs, lip slurs, lip slurs. Lip slurs has been another big one that has helped me with bass trombone range. Like I said earlier, the tenor trombone is in this aspect, so do tenor trombone lip slurs on the bass trombone. Now, I know that's almost a given, but it is super, super important. Just solidifying that B flat to B flat, that B flat major scale, these notes right here. So a great one that I do is B flat, F, B flat, that B flat above the 5th line in the bass clef. So like this. Now, you're going to notice a couple things when you do this. If you're not very experienced on bass trombone and you're coming from another instrument, you're going to notice you aren't really going to enjoy the sound you're getting on the bass trombone because you're so used to whatever other instrument you were playing coming from that. Even if you are playing tenor trombone, at first you aren't going to be satisfied with the sound. So one thing to keep in mind is to keep thinking O and keeping the space between your teeth. Keep space between your teeth, but the lips have to stay together and they have to buzz. And everyone's buzz is going to be a little bit different, but I'll talk about that in a second. So that exercise, I go down to 7 and then I come back up. If you aren't sure about that one, I have earlier YouTube video about bass trombone warm-up. You can check that out. That has a lot of other lip slurs you can do. Also solidifying that B flat, D, and F. That is a huge one on bass trombone that you might need to have access to. I've had to use it several times on the job. So a B flat, F, D. That's a great one. Go down and come up. And then B flat, D, and F. So a couple things about the lip slurs. Definitely be thinking about your air. Apply the thinking down when you go up. When you are doing lip slurs, pay attention to what your air is doing. Speed up the air if you're going high. Slow it down. If you're going lower, that's a really basic concept that all trombonists probably need to know. And one thing that has helped me with lip slurs is doing them chronologically in my warm-up. If I go straight into my lip slurs in my warm-up, for me personally, I'm not very satisfied. I always start out with some long tones or some buzzing before I get into the lip slurs. Okay, so B flat, F, B flat, that range right there, B flat, D, and F, solidify that range. Spend lots of time with it. And over time, you'll notice your sound is going to develop. Just keep thinking ah and o and keep your lips buzzing. Now, on that note, on to number 4. Tip number 4, buzzing and glissing. This is another huge one. If you're having trouble with higher range and you want to get it to sound better, for me, it's helped me to buzz on the mouthpiece. So starting on that B flat right here, everything there and up, I buzz on the bass trombone a lot, just because if you're performing on the bass trombone, you need to sound good on that range, and something that's helped me is buzzing. So a couple things you can do is buzz each individual note. Let's just take the B flat major scale. Play it, buzz it, play it. Then I buzz it. And when you buzz these notes, you want to try to center the pitch as fast as possible. Sometimes I sing it to get it in tune. You want to try to have a relaxed buzz with the high range, especially. When you're buzzing, you can still think the concept of thinking down when you're buzzing up. So solidify that B flat to F. Now when I say solidify, you basically just want to spend a lot of time doing that. So play it, buzz it, try singing it, and try getting your sound as open as possible when you're doing that. Most of your sound development will come over time. So another thing I do is I buzz individual notes, but I try buzzing through the registers too. So, for example, I'm going to start on that B flat and just buzz down all the way as low as I can go. Probably stop at that pedal B flat. Not as low as I can go, but stopping in that pedal range. I spend time doing that to get the range as even as possible. So that's going to help you out a lot. The next big thing is glissing. I gliss a lot of my range to get the feel of it. You'll notice on trombone, glissing through your range is going to expose any flaws you have with your range, because once you add the tongue, that's a whole other aspect. So what I like to do is I gliss through scales. And when you gliss through scales, you don't want to stop on each individual note. You just want to keep going to get that range going. And when you do that, you're going to notice a lot of different things when you do it that are going to expose flaws in your playing. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to do an F major scale, start down here, come up to the F and come down. Then after that, I add the tongue. So glissing through scales, then adding the tongue, it's going to help you a lot. Again, keep thinking about your ear. Keep getting a nice open sound the higher that you go. My fifth tip is to listen to good bass trombone players. Every good bass trombone player has a nice sound in the high range. Also, with the low range too. Listen to good classical bass trombonists. Listen to a lot of legit stuff. Just spend time with a set of headphones. Stick the headphones on and just listen. A lot of sound concept starts here, then it becomes the physical. So what I like to do is spend a lot of time listening. And what I notice is I'll go straight to the horn and I will start sounding like that player over time once you just keep listening to them. So those are the tips that I have. Like I said, please go check out Denson Pollard's video. Put a link down in the description. If you personally have any other tips on bass trombone range, please leave them in the comments. Also, another disclaimer, this was mostly focused towards developing that mid to high range in the bass trombone. If anyone is interested in tips for the low range, please leave a comment. I could also make a video about that. If you have any other questions, please let me know, and I appreciate everyone listening and watching. So happy practicing.